The lights flickered in the deep levels of New Seoul Station. Dr. Park Hannah held her scanner close to the wall, checking for damage after the small meteor strike 3 days ago. The station was old, built over 50 years ago, and these lower levels were rarely used anymore. Strange, she said to herself, looking at the readings. The scanner showed something behind the wall that should not be there. A big room. Hannah was a xenobiologist. She studied alien life forms. Her job was usually boring, looking at tiny alien bugs and plants that traders brought to the station. But this was different. This was interesting. She pressed her hand against the wall. It felt warm. That was not normal. The lower levels were always cold. "Computer, show me the map of this level," she said. The holographic display showed the station's layout. According to the official records, there was nothing behind this wall, just empty space. But her scanner said otherwise. Hannah looked around. The corridor was empty. Most people avoided the lower levels. They said it was haunted. Hannah did not believe in ghosts, but she understood why people stayed away. The lights were dim, and strange sounds echoed through the metal halls. She found a maintenance panel and opened it. Inside were old controls, covered in dust. Most were marked offline or disconnected. But one switch was different. It was clean, and a small red light glowed beside it. The label read, "Special Containment, Level 9 Access." Hannah had worked on the station for 5 years. She had never heard of any special containment on Level 9. This was Level 9. She pressed the switch. The wall began to move. It slid up slowly, making a deep humming sound. Cold air rushed out, carrying a strange smell, like metal and something else. Something alive. Behind the wall was a corridor that stretched into darkness. Emergency lights came on automatically, casting red shadows on the walls. Hannah took a deep breath and stepped inside. The corridor was long and led to a large chamber. As she walked, she noticed symbols carved into the walls. They were not human symbols. They looked alien, but she could not identify the species. At the end of the corridor was a huge door. Made of some kind of energy field, it glowed with blue light and hummed with power. Through the transparent barrier, Hannah could see into the chamber beyond. What she saw made her gasp. A dragon. A small creature, but a massive being that filled most of the room. Its scales were dark blue and purple, with patterns that seemed to shift in the light. Its wings were folded against its body, but even folded, they were enormous. The dragon's head was elegant and intelligent, with large eyes that seemed to hold great sadness. But what shocked Hannah most were the chains, thick bands of energy wrapped around the dragon's neck, legs, and wings. They pulsed with the same blue light as the door. The chains were not just holding the dragon, they were hurting it. Hannah could see that the creature was weak, its breathing slow and labored. "My God," she whispered, "how long have you been here?" The dragon's head turned toward her. Their eyes met through the energy barrier. For a moment, Hannah felt something strange, like a voice trying to speak in her mind. But the words would not come through. The dragon's eyes were intelligent. More than intelligent, they were wise. And they were full of pain. Hannah looked around the chamber and found a control panel. The display showed information in both human and alien languages. What she read made her feel sick. Subject: Alien Designation VX7742. Species: Draconid. Containment time: 73,891 days. Status: stable 73,000 days. Hannah quickly calculated in her head. That was over 200 years. This creature had been trapped here for over 200 years. She read more of the records. The dragon had been captured during something called the First Contact Wars. Hannah had heard of these wars in history class, but they seemed so long ago. The record said the dragon was extremely dangerous and responsible for multiple colony destructions. But looking at the creature now, Hannah found it hard to believe. Yes, the dragon was huge and probably very powerful. But there was something. In its eyes that spoke of gentleness, not violence, the dragon moved closer to the barrier. It lowered its great head and looked directly at Hannah. She could see its scales were dull, not bright and healthy as they should be. The energy chains were slowly killing it. I am Dr. Park Hannah, she said, feeling foolish for talking to a creature that might not understand her. I work on this station. I study alien life forms. The dragon's eyes seemed to brighten slightly. It made a sound, not a roar, but something softer. Almost like a sad song. Hannah spent the next hour reading through the old records. The dragon had been captured by Captain Lee Jun's grandfather during a battle near the Centauri system. The military had wanted to study it, to learn about dragon weaknesses. But the wars ended and the dragon was forgotten, the records showed. That every few years, someone would check on the prisoner. But no one had visited in over 10 years. The dragon was dying slowly and no one cared. Hannah looked back at the creature. It was still watching her, as if hoping she might be different from all the others who had come before. I will come back, she promised. I will find a way to help you. The dragon's eyes closed slowly, like a nod. As Hannah left the chamber, she felt changed. She had discovered something incredible, not just an alien life form, but a person. A person who had been suffering alone for 2 centuries. She sealed the entrance behind her and walked back through the empty corridors. But her mind was not empty. It was full of questions. Who was this dragon? What had really happened during the wars? And most importantly, was there a way to set the prisoner free? Back in her quarters, Hannah could not sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the dragon's sad, intelligent gaze. She had made a promise, and she intended to keep it. The next morning, she would begin her research. She would learn everything she could about dragons, about the energy chains, and about the wars that had led to this creature's imprisonment. But for now, she sat at her window, looking out at the stars, wondering if somewhere among them, other dragons were still searching for their lost friend. The forgotten prisoner would be forgotten no more. The next morning, Hannah could not focus on her work. She kept thinking about the dragon's sad eyes. Her research partner, Dr. Kim Tae, noticed something was wrong. You look tired, he said, looking up from his microscope. Did you sleep last night? Hannah wanted to tell him about the dragon, but she hesitated. What would he think? What would anyone think? She had found a dangerous alien prisoner, and instead of reporting it, she was planning to help it. I found something yesterday, she said slowly. In the lower levels? Kim Tae raised an eyebrow. What kind of something? A dragon, a real dragon. It has been locked up for over 200 years. Kim Tae laughed. Dragons are myths, Hannah, stories for children. No, they are real. I saw one. It is in a containment chamber on level 9. Kim Tae's smile faded. He could see that Hannah was serious. Show me the records. Hannah pulled up the files she had copied from the chamber's computer. Kim Tae read them carefully, his face growing pale. This is classified military information, he said. We should not have this. The dragon is dying, Hannah said. Those energy chains are killing it slowly. We have to do something. We have to report this, Kim Tae said. To Commander Lee Jun. This is not our responsibility. But Hannah was already thinking of other plans. She had spent the night researching dragon biology in the station's database. What she found was disturbing. Dragons were psychic creatures. They needed to process mental energy to survive, just like humans needed to breathe air. The energy chains were not just holding the dragon, they were blocking its psychic abilities. Without them, the dragon would die. Look at this, she said, showing Kim Tae her research. The chains are not just restraints, they are torture devices. The dragon has been slowly suffocating for 2 centuries. Kim Tae read the information. His face grew troubled. Even if that is true, what can we do? We are scientists, not warriors. We cannot fight the military. We do not have to fight anyone, Hannah said. We just have to help a dying creature. That afternoon, Hannah went back to the chamber. She brought a small portable scanner and some basic medical supplies. She wanted to check the dragon's condition more carefully. The dragon was lying on the floor when she arrived. Its breathing was even slower than before. The energy chains pulsed with their blue light, but they seemed brighter, more active. Hello, Hannah said softly. I promised I would come back. The dragon lifted its head. Its eyes were dimmer than before, but they still held intelligence. It made the same soft, sad sound as yesterday. Hannah activated her scanner and pointed it at the dragon. The readings were not good. The creature's life signs were weak and getting weaker. According to her calculations, it would die within 3 weeks. I'm trying to help you, she said. But I need to understand more about your species. The dragon moved closer to the barrier. It pressed its great head against the energy field, and for a moment Hannah thought she heard something, not with her ears but in her mind. A whisper of thoughts, too faint to understand. She reached out and touched the barrier. It was warm and hummed with power. The dragon's eyes followed her movement. Can you understand me? She asked. The dragon nodded slowly. Just once, but it was clear. Hannah felt excitement and fear at the same time. This was not just an animal, this was a person. A person who had been trapped and forgotten for 2 centuries. Over the next few days, Hannah visited the chamber every evening after work. She brought different things each time: water, food, books about human culture. The dragon seemed interested in everything she showed it. She also brought pictures of Earth and other human worlds. The dragon studied them carefully, as if trying to understand humanity through these images. One evening, Kim Tae followed her. Hannah, this has to stop, he said as they stood outside the chamber. Commander Lee Jun has been asking questions. He wants to know why you are spending so much time on the lower levels. Look at it, Hannah said, pointing to the dragon. Really look at it. Kim Tae stepped closer to the barrier. The dragon was awake and watching them. Its eyes were intelligent and curious, not wild or dangerous. It is dying, Hannah continued. Every day it gets weaker. The chains are killing it. Kim Tae stared at the dragon for a long time. The creature looked back at him with what seemed like hope. What do you want to do? He asked finally. I want to find a way to help it, Hannah said. The energy chains are controlled by a computer system. If we can understand how they work, maybe we can adjust them. Make them less harmful. That is dangerous, Kim Tae said. If we make a mistake, the dragon could escape. People could get hurt. People are already being hurt, Hannah said. This dragon is a person too. It has been suffering for 200 years. Kim Tae was quiet for a long moment. Then he sighed. What do you need me to do? Together, they began to study the containment system. The technology was old but complex. The energy chains were powered by the station's main reactor and controlled by a separate computer system. The system had multiple safety protocols. If anyone tried to tamper with it, alarms would sound throughout the station. But there were also maintenance functions that could be used to adjust the chain's power level. If we reduce the power slowly, Kim Tae said, the dragon might be able to process some psychic energy. It might help it survive longer. Or it might give it enough strength to break free. Hannah said. They looked at each other, both understanding the risk. Meanwhile, Communications Officer Nam Yuri had been monitoring deep space transmissions. She had noticed something strange. Signals coming from the direction of the Draconis system. The signals were in an unknown language, but their pattern suggested they were search signals. Someone was looking for something. Or someone. Nam Yuri checked the historical records. The last known contact with the Draconis Collective was over 50 years ago. Why would they be sending search signals now? She decided to investigate further. What she found in the old military files made her blood run cold. The dragon in the containment chamber was not just any dragon. According to the classified records, it was Princess Viridian Stormwing, heir to the Draconis throne. The military had been holding a foreign prince's prisoner for 2 centuries. If the Draconis Collective found out, it would mean war. But if they returned the princess alive, it might mean peace. Nam Yuri had to make a choice. Follow protocol and report her findings, or find a way to help the dragon before it was too late. Back in the chamber, Hannah made her own decision. She could not watch the dragon die slowly. Whatever the consequences, she had to try to help. Tomorrow night, she told Kim Tae, we will try to reduce the power to the chains. The dragon seemed to understand. It moved closer to the barrier and looked at them with what might have been gratitude. Time was running out. The dragon was dying, and soon someone would discover their secret visits. They had one chance to save a life and maybe prevent a war, but first, they had to find the courage to do what was right, even if it meant breaking every rule they had ever followed. The storm hit New Sol Station at midnight. Lightning flashed across the dark sky of the moon below, and the station shook with each thunder crash. The main power grid flickered as the storm's energy interfered with the station's systems. Hannah was working late in her laboratory when the lights went out. Emergency power kicked in a moment later, but the lights were dim and red. Throughout the station, people were securing equipment and checking systems. Perfect timing, she whispered to herself. With everyone busy dealing with the storm, no one would notice her going to the lower levels. She gathered her tools and headed for the hidden chamber. But as she walked through the corridors, she felt something different. The storm was not just affecting the station's power, it was affecting the dragon. When she reached the chamber, she gasped. The energy chains around the dragon were flickering like broken lights. Sometimes they were bright blue, sometimes they were dim, and sometimes they almost disappeared completely. The dragon was awake and looking at the chains with what seemed like hope. Every time they flickered, the creature tried to move, but the chains always came back stronger. The storm is interfering with the containment system, Hannah said to herself. She checked her scanner. The power levels were jumping up and down wildly. She activated her communicator. Kim-tae, are you there? I am in the engineering section, his voice came back, full of static. The storm is causing problems everywhere. What are you doing? I am with the dragon. The chains are unstable. This might be our chance. It is too dangerous, Kim-tae said. If the containment fails completely, the dragon could escape. We do not know what it might do, but Hannah was not listening. She was watching the dragon's face. The creature looked so tired, so weak. It had been fighting these chains for 200 years, and now it was dying. She made a decision that surprised even herself. I will be right back, she told the dragon. Hannah ran to the small kitchen area on level 9. Most of the station's food was processed and artificial, but she kept some real ingredients for special occasions. Tonight felt very special. She found vegetables, herbs, and some protein paste. Working quickly, she made a simple soup, the kind her grandmother used to make when Hannah was sick as a child. It was nothing fancy, just warm and comforting. As she cooked, she thought about the dragon. What must it be like to be alone for 200 years? To have no one to talk to, no one to care if you lived or died? The soup was ready. It smelled like home, like love, like everything good about being human. She carried the bowl back to the chamber. The dragon was lying on the floor, breathing heavily. The chains were still flickering, but they seemed to be getting weaker. I brought you something, Hannah said, holding up the bowl. It is soup food, human food. The dragon lifted its head. Its eyes were duller than before, but they focused on the bowl with interest. Hannah stepped closer to the energy barrier. I know. You probably cannot eat human food, but I wanted to give you something to show that I care. She set the bowl down just outside the barrier. The soup was still warm and steam rose from it in the cold air. The dragon moved closer. It sniffed the air and made a soft sound, not sad this time, but curious. My grandmother made this soup for me when I was little, Hannah said. She said it was made with love. That love was the most important ingredient. The dragon's eyes met hers. For a moment, they just looked at each other, human and dragon, two very different creatures sharing a moment of understanding. I am sorry, Hannah said, and she meant it. I am sorry for what my people did to you. I am sorry you have been alone for so long. I am sorry I cannot do more to help you. The dragon's eyes seemed to grow brighter. It reached out with one claw. Hand toward the bowl of soup. The moment its claw touched the energy barrier, something amazing happened. The barrier flickered just like the chains. But instead of the harsh blue light, it glowed with a softer, warmer color. The dragon's claw passed through the barrier as if it was not there. Hannah stepped back in shock. The dragon could reach through the barrier now. It was still trapped by the chains, but it could touch the soup. Carefully, gently, the dragon dipped one claw into the warm soup. It brought the claw to its mouth and tasted it. The dragon's eyes closed. It made a sound that Hana had never heard before. Not sad, not curious, but happy, peaceful. You like it? Hana asked. The dragon nodded. It dipped its claw again and tasted more soup. Each time it did, the energy barrier flickered more. Then something incredible happened. The dragon spoke. Not with its voice. Hana heard the words in her mind, clear and beautiful. Thank you, the dragon said. It has been so long since anyone showed me kindness. Hana nearly dropped her scanner. You can talk. You can use telepathy. Only a little, the dragon replied. The chains block most of my abilities, but your gift, your soup, it is made with something the chains cannot stop. What do you mean? Love, the dragon said simply. Compassion. The chains were made to hold anger and fear, but love passes through them. As the dragon continued to taste the soup, the energy chains began to change. Instead of the harsh blue light, they began to glow with the same warm color as the barrier. What is happening? Hana asked. The chains are powered by hatred, the dragon explained. Hatred and fear from the war, but your kindness is changing them. Love is stronger than hatred. The chains were glowing brighter now, but the light was different, warm instead of cold. Gentle instead of harsh. I do not understand, Hana said. The person who made these chains believed that dragons were monsters, the dragon said. That we could only be held by force and fear. But you have shown something different. You have shown that understanding is possible. The dragon finished the soup and looked at Hana with eyes that were clearer than they had been in years. What is your name? It asked. Park Hana. I am a scientist. I study life. I am Viridian, the dragon said. I was once a princess of my people. Now I am just a prisoner. But tonight, because of your soup, I remembered what it feels like to be treated like a person. The energy chains were pulsing now, their light growing, brighter and brighter. But instead of looking painful, they looked peaceful. Something is changing, Hana said, checking her scanner. The energy patterns are completely different. Yes, Viridian said. The chains are remembering their true purpose. They were not meant to torture. They were meant to protect. Protect what? Both of us, Viridian said. To make sure that when the time came, when someone showed real kindness, the barriers between our peoples could be broken safely. The chains were glowing so brightly now that Hana had to squint. But the light was warm and beautiful, not harsh. I think, Viridian said, that time has come. The dragon reached out again, not for the soup this time, but toward Hana. Its claw passed through the barrier easily now. Thank you, Viridian said, for reminding me that not all humans are my enemies. Thank you for the soup. Thank you for treating me like a person. As Viridian spoke, the chains began to sing, a beautiful crystal-clear sound that filled the chamber, and then, like morning mist touched by sunlight, the chains began to fade. The dragon was about to be free. The chains dissolved like smoke in the wind. One moment they were there, glowing with warm light. The next moment they were gone. After 200 years, Princess Viridian was free. Immediately, alarms began screaming throughout New Sol Station. Red lights flashed in every corridor. The computer's voice echoed from speakers. Containment breach. Level 9. All personnel to emergency stations. Hana stepped back as Viridian stood up for the first time in centuries. The dragon was even more magnificent than she had imagined. Her scales caught the light like jewels, and her wings, now fully spread, were beautiful beyond words, but Viridian did not attack. She did not roar or breathe fire. Instead, she looked at Hana and spoke in perfect Korean. Thank you for the soup, she said with her actual voice, not telepathy. It tasted like kindness. Hana's mouth fell open. You speak Korean? I speak many languages, Viridian said. I had 200 years to learn from the computer systems. Korean is beautiful. It has many words for different kinds of love. Heavy footsteps echoed in the corridor outside. Commander Lee Jun was coming with security forces. You have to run, Hana said. They will try to chain you again. No, Viridian said calmly. I will not run, I will not hide. It is time for truth. The chamber door burst open. Commander Lee Jun entered with 6 security officers, all carrying energy weapons. Behind them came Kim Tae, who looked terrified. "Step away from the creature, Dr. Park," Commander Lee Jun ordered. "Now," but Hannah did not move. She stood between the soldiers and the dragon. "Her name is Viridian," Hannah said. "She is not a creature, she is a person. A princess." "It is a war criminal," Lee Jun said. "It destroyed 3 human colonies. Thousands of people died." Viridian moved forward slowly. The soldiers raised their weapons, but she made no threatening moves. "Commander Lee Jun," she said, using his name. "Grandson of Captain Lee Jun, who captured me during the Battle of Centauri." Lee Jun's eyes widened. "How do you know that?" "Because I remember everything," Viridian said. "Including the real reason for that battle." She sat down, making herself less threatening. Even sitting, she was taller than the humans, but her posture was peaceful. "Your grandfather was a good man," she continued. "He was following orders just as you are now. But the orders were based on lies." "What lies?" Kim Tae asked, stepping forward despite his fear. "The story you were told about the colony attacks," Viridian said. "That dragons came to destroy human settlements. That is not what happened." Chief Security Officer Choi Min-ho entered the chamber. He was older than the others and had scars on his face from the old wars. "I was there," he said quietly, "at the Centauri battle. I was just a young soldier then." Everyone turned to look at him. "What did you see?" Viridian asked gently. "I saw dragons attacking our ships," Choi Min-ho said. "But they were not trying to destroy us. They were trying to get to the colony ship." "Why?" Lee Jun asked. Viridian closed her eyes, and when she opened them, they were full of old pain. "Because human military scientists had captured dragon children," she said, "babies. They were taken from their families and brought to those colonies for experiments." The room fell silent except for the sound of the alarms. "That is impossible," Lee Jun said. "Humans do not experiment on children." "These were not human children," Viridian said sadly. "So your leaders decided they did not matter. They wanted to study dragon telepathy. They wanted to create psychic weapons." Choi Min-ho's face went pale. "The research facilities on those colonies. They were classified? We were never allowed inside?" "The dragons who attacked were not invaders," Viridian continued. "They were parents. They were trying to rescue their children." "Even if that is true," Lee Jun said, "you still destroyed human ships." "Humans died." "Yes," Viridian said, and her voice was heavy with guilt. "I killed humans. I did not want to, but I had to save the children. Some of them were my own nieces and nephews." Hannah felt tears in her eyes. The dragon she had been helping was not just a prisoner. She was a mother figure who had sacrificed everything to save innocent children. "The official report said the colonies were attacked without warning," Kim Tae said. "Your leaders were offered a peaceful solution first," Viridian said. "We asked for the children to be returned. We offered technology and friendship in exchange. But the humans in charge wanted war more than peace." "Where are the children now?" Hannah asked. Viridian's expression became even sadder. "Dead, all of them. When the military realized they could not win the war, they destroyed the evidence. The children were ... eliminated." The security officers looked at each other uneasily. This was not the story they had been told. "Why should we believe you?" Lee Jun asked. "Because I am dying," Viridian said simply. "The chains that held me were slowly killing me. I have perhaps days left to live. What would I gain by lying now?" Nam Yuri's voice came over the communication system. "Commander, you need to see this. I am sending information to your portable display." Lee Jun looked at his device. His face changed as he read. "What is it?" Hannah asked. "Deep space communications," Lee Jun said slowly. "The Draconis Collective has been sending search signals for decades. They are looking for someone." "For me," Viridian said. "My people have been searching for me for 200 years. They never stopped believing I was alive." "There is more," Nam Yuri's voice continued. "The signals have changed. They are getting stronger. I think they are coming here. Through the chamber's small window, they could see lights moving in the darkness of space. Ships. Many ships. The Draconis fleet, Viridian said. They have found me at last. This is a disaster, Li Jun said. If they think we have been holding their prince's prisoner, they will attack the station. No, Viridian said firmly. They will not attack while I am here, but they will demand explanations. She looked at Hannah. You have given me a great gift, not just freedom, but hope. You have shown me that humans can be kind. That peace is possible. What do we do now? Kim Tae asked. Now, Viridian said, we tell the truth, all of it, about the real reason for the war, about the children who died, about the 200 years of lies. The government will never agree to that, Li Jun said. Then we make a new agreement, Viridian said. One based on truth instead of lies. One that honors the memory of all who died, human and dragon alike. The dragon fleet was getting closer. Soon, they would be in communication range. I have an idea, Hannah said, but it is dangerous. And it means trusting each other completely. What kind of idea? Li Jun asked. We invite them to the station, Hannah said. Not as enemies, but as guests. We show them that humans and dragons can work. Together we prove that peace is possible. That is insane, Choi Minho said. They could destroy us all. Or, Viridian said, we could begin the greatest friendship in galactic history. She stood up and spread her wings. Even in the confined space, she was magnificent. I am Princess Viridian Stormwing, she said formally, heir to the Draconis throne. I have been held prisoner for 200 years. But tonight I was freed by an act of kindness from Dr. Park Hannah. She looked around the room at all the humans. I could be angry, I could demand revenge. But instead, I choose to offer something else. I offer forgiveness, and I offer hope. Hope? For what? Li Jun asked. Hope that our children will grow up in a galaxy where soup is shared between friends, Viridian said. Where differences are celebrated, not feared. Where the greatest strength is not weapons or armies, but compassion. The alarms were still blaring, but somehow, in that moment, the future felt brighter. Outside, the dragon ships waited for their princes to speak. Inside, humans and dragons stood together, ready to write a new chapter in galactic history. The age of war was ending. The age of friendship was about to begin. The dragon ships hung in space like beautiful, deadly flowers. There were 12 of them, each one larger than New Sol Station. Their hulls gleamed with the same crystalline scales as Viridian, and energy fields surrounded them like protective wings. In the station's command center, Commander Li Jun stared at the tactical display. His officers looked nervous. No one had seen dragon ships for 50 years. They are not powering weapons, reported Lieutenant Park Soo. But their shields are active? They are waiting, Viridian said. She had been brought to the command center under guard, but she was not in chains. They will not attack while I am alive and unharmed. What do they want? Li Jun asked. To take me home, Viridian said simply, and to learn why I disappeared 200 years ago. Nam Yuri looked up from her communication station. Sir, we are receiving a transmission. Audio and visual. Put it on the main screen, Li Jun ordered. The display flickered, then showed the bridge of a dragon ship. The being in the center was magnificent, larger even than Viridian, with golden scales and eyes like stars. When he spoke, his voice was deep and powerful. I am Admiral Corvin Stormwing, he said in perfect galactic common. Brother to Princess Viridian, I demand to speak with her immediately. Li Jun looked at Viridian. Your brother? My younger brother, she said with a sad smile. He was just a child when I was captured. Now he commands the royal fleet. Princess Viridian is here, Li Jun said to the screen. She is unharmed. Prove it, Admiral Corvin said. Show her to me. Viridian stepped forward into the camera's view. Hello, little brother. The change in Admiral Corvin's expression was immediate. The stern military mask fell away, replaced by joy and relief. Viridian, he said. Sister. We have searched for For so long, we never gave up hope. I know, Viridian said. I felt your search, even through the chains. It kept me alive. Admiral Corvin's expression hardened again. Chains? What chains? What have these humans done to you? Before Viridian could answer, another voice came from the dragon ship, cold and angry. Brother, step aside. A new dragon appeared on the screen. This one was ancient, with silver scales and scars from old battles. Her eyes burned with barely controlled rage. I am War Leader Thera, she said, and I have waited 200 years for revenge against the humans who stole our princess. Thera, Viridian said carefully, much has changed. Nothing has changed, Thera snarled. The humans kidnapped you. They have held you prisoner. They experimented on our children. They must pay. In the command center, the human officers stepped back nervously. Even through the screen, War Leader. Thera was terrifying. The humans who did those things are dead, Viridian said. These humans are different. All humans are the same, Thera said. They cannot be trusted. They understand only violence. Hannah stepped forward. That is not true. Everyone turned to look at her. She was just a small human scientist, but she did not back down from the ancient dragon's glare. My name is Dr. Park. Hannah, she said, I am the one who freed Princess Viridian. Freed her? Admiral Corvin asked. How? With soup, Hannah said simply. There was silence on both sides of the communication. Then War Leader Thera laughed, but it was not a nice sound. Soup? You expect us to believe that soup broke the chains that held our princes for 2 centuries? It was not just soup, Viridian said. It was kindness. It was the first act of compassion I had received from a human in 200 years. She moved. Closer to the camera, Hannah did not know who I was. She did not know I was a princess. She saw only a suffering creature and decided to help. That is the kind of human she is. One human, Thera said dismissively. What about the rest? What about the ones who chained you? Most of them are dead, Viridian said. The few who remain are old and powerless. The young humans, like Hannah, they are different. They want peace. Admiral Corvin looked uncertain. Sister, you have been prisoner for so long. Perhaps you do. Not see clearly. Perhaps they have done something to your mind. My mind is clear, Viridian said firmly. Clearer than it has been in years. And I tell you this, if we attack this station, we will be making the same mistake the humans made 200 years ago. We will be choosing war over understanding. Understanding? Thera's voice was like thunder. They killed our children. Yes, Viridian said sadly. And if we kill their children now, how are we different from them? On the dragon ship, there was a commotion. Other dragons were arguing in their own language. Finally, Admiral Corvin spoke again. The Council of War Leaders is divided, he said. Some want immediate attack. Others want to hear your full story first. There is something else you must know, Viridian said. Something important. The real reason I was captured. She took a deep breath. I was not captured in a random battle. I was betrayed. By humans, yes, but also by dragons. There were those among our own people who wanted the war to continue. This caused another uproar on the dragon ship. Admiral Corvin looked shocked. That is impossible, he said. There are dragons who profit from war, Viridian continued, who sell weapons to both sides, who become powerful when others fight. They made sure the peace negotiations failed. They made sure I was captured before I could reveal their secrets. War Leader Thera's expression had changed. She looked thoughtful now, not just angry. Do you have proof of this? She asked. The proof is in the station's old files, Viridian said. In the records of who provided information about dragon movements to the human military. In the communications that were intercepted but never reported, Kimte stepped forward. I can help. Find those records, he said. If they exist, we will find them. This changes everything, Admiral Corvin said slowly. If what you say is true, then we have been fighting the wrong enemy. But there is an even greater danger, Viridian said. Something that threatens both. Humans and dragons alike. She closed her eyes and reached out with her newly freed psychic abilities. What she sensed made her scales turn pale. "They are coming," she whispered. "The Void Devourers. I can feel them at the edge of the system." "What are Void Devourers?" Li Jun asked. "Ancient enemies," Admiral Corvin said, his voice grim. "Energy beings that feed on psychic life force. They consume entire worlds. They are attracted to conflict," Viridian explained. "To places where psychic species fight each other, the more we battle, the stronger they become." Nam Yuri's instruments began beeping frantically. "Sir, I am detecting strange energy readings. Something is approaching from deep space." On the display, space itself seemed to ripple. Dark shapes moved between the stars, shapes that hurt to look at directly. "How many?" Admiral Corvin asked. "Too many," Viridian said. "They have been waiting for this moment, waiting for our fleets to gather in one place." "Can we fight them?" Hannah asked. "Not separately," Viridian said. "Dragons alone cannot stop them. Humans alone cannot stop them. But together ... Together we might have a chance," Admiral Corvin finished. War Leader Thara's image appeared again. "Even if we work together, can we trust the humans not to betray us again?" Viridian looked at Hannah, then at the other humans in the command center. "I trust this human," she said, pointing to Hannah. "She gave me soup when I was dying. She risked her career to help a stranger. If there are more humans like her, then yes, we can trust them. And if there are not?" Thara asked. "Then we will all die together," Viridian said simply. "But I would rather die fighting alongside friends than live in hatred." The Void Devourers were getting closer. Soon they would be in attack range. "We have to choose now," Admiral Corvin said. "Fight together or fight alone." Li Jun looked around the command center. His officers were scared, but they were ready. "To do their duty, what do you need?" he asked Viridian. "Lower your shields," she said. "Let my people come aboard, not as invaders but as allies." That is against every protocol," Choi Minho said. "The protocols failed us before," Hannah said. "Maybe it is time to try something new." Li Jun made his decision. "Lower shields. Prepare to receive our ... guests." In space, the dragon ships moved closer to the station. For the first time in 200 years, humans and dragons were going to fight side by side. The real battle was about to begin. The first dragon shuttle docked with New Sol Station as the Void Devourers entered the system. Admiral Corvin was the first to step aboard the human station. He was enormous, even larger than Viridian, but he moved carefully in the smaller human corridors. Behind him came 5 other dragons, including War Leader Thara. The meeting took place in the station's main hangar. Humans and dragons faced each other across the open space. 2 species that had been enemies for centuries, now forced to trust each other. "Show us these Void Devourers," Thara demanded. Nam Yuri activated the main display. The image made everyone step back in fear. The Void Devourers looked like living shadows with too many angles. They moved through space like black lightning, and wherever they passed, stars seemed to dim. "How do we fight something like that?" Kim Tae asked. "With psychic energy," Viridian explained. "Dragons have natural psychic abilities, but humans have something else. You have emotional energy. Strong feelings can power psychic defenses." "I do not understand," Commander Li Jun said. Admiral Corvin stepped forward. "Dragons think with our minds, but humans feel with your hearts. When dragons and humans work together, mind and heart combine. It creates a power stronger than either alone." "The Void Devourers feed on negative emotions," Viridian added. "Fear, anger, hatred, but positive emotions make them weak. Love, friendship, hope, these things hurt them," Hannah understood first. "That is why the soup worked. It was not just food. It was love made real." "Exactly," Viridian said. "When you gave me soup made with kindness, you created a psychic link between us. That link broke the chains because love is stronger than hatred." On the display, the Void Devourers were getting closer. There were dozens of them, maybe hundreds. "How much time do we have?" Li Jun asked. 20 minutes, Nam Yuri reported. "Maybe less." "Then we start now," Thara said. She looked at the humans with new respect. What do you need us to do? Link minds, Viridian said. Dragons will provide psychic structure, humans will provide emotional power. Together we create a defense network. How do we link minds? Hannah asked. Physical contact helps, Admiral Corvin said, and shared experience. The stronger the emotional connection, the stronger the psychic link. Hannah had an idea. Wait here, she said, and ran toward the station's kitchen area. While she was gone, the humans and dragons began to pair up. Kim Tae cautiously approached a young dragon named Zira. Choi Minho stood next to Admiral Corvin. Even Nam Yuri left her post to stand with an elderly dragon scholar. Hana returned carrying a large pot and several bowls. I made more soup, announced, the same recipe as before, made with love. Some of the dragons looked confused, but Viridian smiled. My people have a saying, she explained to the humans. The taste of freedom is always shared with a friend. Hana began serving soup to everyone, human and dragon alike. As they ate together, something amazing happened. The barriers between species began to fall. The dragons shared memories of their beautiful homeworld. The humans shared stories of Earth and their families. Slowly, understanding grew between them. I can feel it, Kim Tae said, wonder in his voice. I can sense what Zira is thinking. And I can feel your emotions, Zira replied. Your fear, but also your determination to protect others. Around the hangar, similar connections were forming. Human hearts and dragon minds were linking together, creating something new. The network is forming, Viridian said. But we need more power. The Void Devourers are almost here. What else can we do? Li Jun asked. We need the entire station, Admiral Corvin said. Every human, every dragon, all connected through shared purpose. Hannah activated the station's communication system. Attention all personnel, she said. This is Dr. Park Hannah. We are under attack by creatures that feed on hatred and fear. But we have discovered something they cannot fight. Love and friendship between different species. Her voice carried to every corner of the station. Come. To Hangar Bay 1, bring food to share. Bring stories to tell. Bring open hearts and minds. Today we prove that understanding is stronger than violence. Slowly, people began to arrive. Station workers, scientists, security officers. They came cautiously at first, but when they saw humans and dragons eating soup together, their fear began to fade. The Void Devourers struck just as the last person entered the hangar. The attack was not physical. It was psychic, a wave of pure despair that tried to make everyone give up hope. The lights flickered and the station shook. Link up, Viridian shouted. Everyone hold hands. Share your strength. A chain of connection formed around the hangar. Human hands holding dragon claws. Dragon minds touching human hearts. In the center, Hana and Viridian stood together, their bond strongest of all. The Void Devourers pressed their attack. They sent waves of fear, anger, and hopelessness. But every time the dark emotions tried to take hold, they met something unexpected, the memory of shared soup. The feeling of new friendship. The hope for a better future. It is working, Admiral Corvin called out. They cannot break through, but the attack was not over. The Void Devourers changed tactics. Instead of trying to break the network, they began to drain it. Slowly, the humans and dragons began to weaken. We need more power, Thara said, strain showing in her voice. Hannah looked around the hangar. Everyone was giving their all, but it was not enough. Then she remembered something Viridian had said. The strongest emotions, she called out. What is the strongest emotion of all? Love, several voices answered together. Then let us show them love, Hannah said. She turned to Viridian. You are? Not just my ally, you are my friend. I love you like a sister. And I love you like family, Viridian replied. You saved my life and my soul. Around the hangar, others began to speak their hearts. Dragons thanked humans for showing them kindness. Humans thanked dragons for their wisdom and strength. Former enemies became friends, friends became family. The psychic network blazed with new power. Love flowed through the connections like electricity, but warm and healing instead of painful. The void devourers screamed. The sound was horrible, but it was also the sound of defeat. They could not feed on love. They could not break bonds of friendship. They could not destroy hope. One by one, the shadow creatures fled back into deep space, seeking easier prey elsewhere. In the hangar, humans and dragons collapsed in exhaustion, but they were smiling. They had won. Is it over? Kimte asked. This battle is over, Admiral Corvin said. But this is just the beginning. Word will spread across the galaxy. Other species will learn what we have learned today. What have we learned? Hannah asked. That the universe is not divided into us and them, Viridian said. There is only us, all of us together. 6 months later, New Sol Station had become the center of the new Galactic Friendship Council. Representatives from dozens of species came to learn about the Human-Dragon Alliance. In a small restaurant on the station, Hannah and Viridian shared lunch together. The restaurant served food from many worlds, but their favorite was still the simple soup that had started everything. Do you ever think about that night? Hannah asked. When I first brought you soup? Every day, Viridian said. It was the night. I remembered what it meant to be free. Not free from chains, but free to care about others. The taste of freedom, Hannah said, remembering Viridian's words, is always shared with a friend. Viridian finished. They raised their bowls in a toast to friendship, to understanding, and to the simple power of soup made with love. Across the galaxy, the Compassion Protocol was now galactic law. No being could be imprisoned without hope of redemption. No species could be judged by the actions of a few. And everywhere, when different peoples met for the first time, they shared a meal together. Because sometimes the most important changes in the universe begin with the smallest acts of kindness. And sometimes, freedom really does taste like soup.